Daniel Kiss.
And I'm Steve Wagstaff. Welcome to Mental Health 101.
Yes, where understanding begins, healing grows, and every conversation bring us closer to healthier mind. Another week, another great episode. Healing the inner child. Why our past still shapes our present. Practical steps towards emotional recovery and personal growth. What a nice topic, Mr. Steven.
Our inner child. Yeah, been with us since day one.
Day one, inner child. So
Mm.
tell us what is all about, Mr. Steven.
Inner child, I think, is just a word of therapeutic. It's about self development from those things we learned so early on when our brains were just in that sponge state that we soaked everything up. So that inner child in us, um, yeah, remembers so much. It contributed and does contribute to who we are today, how what we've healed from, and even how we go about our everyday. Our inner child is part of that.
Yes, indeed. The concept of inner child is not a fanciful metaphor, but a profound psychological reality. It represents the sum total of our earliest experiences,
Mm.
emotions, and unmet needs that we are encoded in our neural pathways. Before we had the language or logic to process them, this younger self don't or does not vanish. It lives within our emotional brain, perpetually influencing our reaction for hidden command center. And Mr. Steve, let's start the core premise. It's simple terms. What is the inner child and what the unmet need from a decade ago actively shape an adult's reactions, relationship, and self image today?
Mm. Inner child is um, uh, who we are, and it was the part of us that formed a lot of our emotions, um, our intellect. It's when our brain was the most plastic, as science would say, and moldable. As a child, um, we learned things like who we were, what was safe, what wasn't safe, what love is. Can I rely on others? Um, it- as it gets older, our inner child still picks up patterns like, am I a people pleaser, or do I have avoidance or fear of abandonment? Um, all those type of things. So, yeah, our inner child is who we have grown up with inside of us, and it's where we have learned so much of our behavior today, including some of the negative connotations of things that may have happened in our childhood that have made us the way we are today. We wonder why we're angry, or we wonder why maybe we don't feel loved, or somewhere down deep back, there was something that was never healed, but was very impressionable at that time.
Indeed. So, what are the most common subtle tells or patterns in adult life, like specific types of conflict, procrastination, or perfectionism that actually the inner child calling for attention?
Mm. Blaming parents, I don't
Yes.
staying stuck in the past, excusing harmful behaviors, uh, endless emotional evec like excavating things. Um, those are problematic things um, that have borne out from circumstances of our inner child that we've never gone back and uh, we refuse to go back and take a look at, or we refuse to allow our minds to change because this is just how we feel. And so I think it's important that we we all examine our past uh, to make sure that we are truly in the present, living up to who we really our fullest potential. And a lot of that comes from what philosophy and therapy is called that the inner child within us.
The inner child, people, and Mr. Steven, many people they feel had a fine or normal childhood. How can early, often unintentional emotional mismanagement or neglect by well-meaning parents will create a blueprint for struggle later on?
Mm. Well, I think it's like something like DNA. Like if there's something that happened in the making up of a DNA, it'll replicate itself over and over and over and over and over again. And I think the same thing can happen to us as young people. That something in life that uh, was learned or not learned, um, that stays with us. If you never, if you were never taught that the stove was hot and you touched it, you got burnt, and now you know as an adult that every action has a result to it. So that may be simplifying things, but there could be things from our childhood that were not learned, or the perspective on them at that time, we didn't have the full capacity to understand it. And that has replicated itself over and over and over again. And now we're adults living with things we can't figure out, or things that bother us, or things that stand out that are wrong, and we don't know where it comes from. And it could be from just multiplication of learned behavior when we were really young.
Yes, people, the goal of healing, therefore, is not erase the past or blame our caregivers, most of whom are doing their best with their own limitation. It's finally bring compassionate awareness to those frozen moments in time. It's become the loving, attuned parent to ourselves to have may have lack. The process of repeating begins with a simple radical act of recognition to pause a moment of overreaction or deep sadness and gently ask, how old do I feel right now? This question begins to separate the adult from the wounded child within. And Mr. Steven, what a simple initial exercise someone can do today to start a compassionate dialogue with their inner child.
I think the first step is acknowledging that it exists. Um, I, I th- I think the mentality is I am who I am, and that's just the way it's going to be. But I think we need to acknowledge that it's okay uh, to look back at numerous circumstances in our life that have certainly formed us the way we are. And unless we give ourselves permission to go back and examine some of these things that we learned or didn't learn, or we suppress, maybe, um, that's one of my I'll be very personal with you. One of my probably faults is that I don't like to go back in time. To me, to just continue on and constantly don't focus on that, don't focus on that. It doesn't hurt if I don't go back. Often I'll see a picture that cues a memory, and I'll break out and cry because it was a sad memory. But for me, avoidance is one of my harmful tactics to myself because in in avoiding, I rob myself of a lot of pleasurable moments and good experiences, but, I don't know where I picked it up along the way, but somehow, avoiding became something that, I do quite often.
Yes, people, integrations happens when we translate this internal conversation into intangible changes in our adult lives. It seems designing daily habits that actively provide the security and validation that was missing. It could be as simple as establishing and calming bedtime routine for the child who felt chaos, or giving yourself permission to play and be spontaneous for a child who had grown up too fast. It involves setting boundaries, not a wall against the world, but as promise to your inner child that you will not abandon or overrule their needs anymore.
Mm.
So, Mr. Steven, what role does creativity play or spontaneous joy have in the healing process? It's just a nice bonus or non negotiable part of rewiring the nervous system.
Give me the first part again. What part does
Yes, what role does creativity play
creativity? Uh,
in, in the
yeah,
healing process?
mhm, correct. Well, I think, who did I mean, I think as kids, what's one of the greatest joys people get when they look at back uh, or at children now? It's their creativity, whether they're athletic, whether they're creative in art, or whether anything like that. So I think allowing ourselves to explore some of those things we maybe missed growing up and allowing ourselves to try things that maybe were very foreign to us as a child or not available, um, I think, deeply, will allow for us to heal. Um, Creativity is productivity for the mind, but, um, we've each been gifted, I mind, by our creator, with different gifts, and I think creative expression and is a key to unlocking healing from emotional and whatever bondage we've been carrying.
Yes, indeed. And people, the healing your inner child directly transform your internal relationships. You stop seeking in others the perfect parent you never had and instead engage in mature independent partnership. You break the cycles of reaction that may plug your family for generations. In doing so, you are not just healing yourself, you are the altering the legacy you will pass on, creating a new emotional inheritance of security and self worth for those who come after you. So, Mr. Steven, lastly, to wrap up our discussion for today, how does healing our own past wounds allow us to show up differently for the next generation, whether as a part or as our parents, mentors, or leaders, or potentially break family or cultural cycles for good?
Mm, yeah. I think going back and rewriting the narrative of, um, as adults, to things that, uh, were possibly not present, in our childhood, and so, um, I think it's essential, I think it's incumbent upon all of us for the sake of the next generation to answer those questions as to why, uh, we do certain things and, uh, and to correct those, make a course correction so that the generation that's coming behind us, our kids or our nephews and nieces, those people we have influence over, uh, when they see us, um, maybe, doing those things that we were never involved in as a child or never took part to do. I I think that I think it encourages I think it encourages others, and, uh, I think it allows them to also see that, we're not always perfect, and we're gonna make mistakes, but, um, if we don't admit them and, if we don't try and work on them, um, the next generation will copy the same pattern as this one. Yeah.
Yes, for our generation to generations to come. And ultimately, healing the inner child is the most practical personal growth work you can undertake. It addresses the root system from which all your adult symptoms, procrastination and self sabotage, chronic anxiety, and unsatisfying relationships grow. By tending to this root, you don't just prune the branches, you change the entire tree. You move from being governed by sin history to becoming the author of your present and architect of your future.
Mhm.
And Mr. Mike, would you like to plug in something?
I'll go with Mr. Steve. Mr. Steve would love to plug in something.
Mr. Steven.
Oh, good.
Mr.
Yeah,
Steven.
check out
Can we make
Swagability.
yes,
Yeah,
can we make it short, Mr. Steve?
yeah, that's alright. You can call me anything but late, and that's the thing is. Yeah, you can check out the work that we're doing over at swagability.com and our YouTube channel, Swagability Inc., where we support individuals who've gone through trauma, illness, disability, and those who are suffering from burnout, veterans, and caregivers. So check out the work at swagability.com. We look forward to seeing you there.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Steven Swagstaff because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy like this to come. And please do listen to our upcoming podcast, Motivation 101, coming this December. And hope you like it. The same with Mental Health 101. We are empowering people all over the world through our motivational topic each episode. So, Mr. Steve, thank you so much for your time.
Been a pleasure, like always.
Modicon people, see you soon.
Bye.